was me.
Welcome, everybody, to Truth to Power and Uncut, first of all. And this is Hot Topic Tuesday, and we are so glad to be here with y'all this evening. And I just want to give a shout out to my sister, the Identity Professor, our other co-host, Wendell King, and then also Mr. Dean Snell, which is our other newest co-host. What's going on, y'all?
What's going on? How you doing?
Dumpling, how are you?
Good. What's up? It's just been a lot going on for this. I couldn't wait for Hot Topic Tuesday to get here.
Yeah, it's a lot going on in the world. Dean, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm ready to talk about what's going on because I mean all this stuff that we got happening. We got the Cardi B Offset divorce thing going on. Love Craft Country is hitting on something, So it's a lot to talk about this week. This week we got Andrew Gilliam and all that stuff. I'm ready to talk about it. Let's get into it.
Well, we got say hello to Wendell first and let our love. And I just just give us that good old hello for the week.
Yes, Wendell. And I just gotta say I'm so proud of Wendell.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hello.
That's what I'm talking about. Get it. So
well, let's jump on into it then.
Well, I want to tell the audience to make sure you share, and like. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel and click that boom, boom, subscribe.
Come on, new fan.
Come on through, baby, because it's about to get shady real quick. So now let's get with the WAP queen who's over here about to get who filed, I might add, for the divorce from her husband of 3 years.
I don't feel like it's shade. I feel like she filed for the divorce. So it's the WAP that's walking out of the door.
And that's why the shade is coming in, because that means somebody got white liver, like the old folk used to say.
White liver?
White liver? What that mean?
That means you can't keep a woman. That's what my grandma and them used to say. Oh, he got that white liver. He can't keep a woman.
Well, I mean, obviously he got a whole bunch of women. So
yeah, that's true.
Maybe he got too many women. He trying to do too much at one time.
And that's the problem. I'm just glad that Cardi B actually I'm glad she actually took it upon herself to actually walk away from a situation where she knows her value. Because most times people will kind of stay in a relationship to save face. It's like she really was like, okay, I'm tired of, because he probably was doing the same thing he was doing that, got him in trouble the first time.
Mm-hmm.
The infidelity. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to walk away from it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, and you have a lot of people that stay in relationships for the kids too. You know what I mean? And she was more or less like, damn that shit. So really, to be honest, she was more or less like, do I need to be in this type of relationship where I am not valued versus being in a relationship to where, I have a functional marriage. But then we talking about Cardi, because Cardi ain't really functional either. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like,
I mean, I think it's class in this situation. I think that if she would still be Cardi from the block, I think the situation, the dynamics may have played out differently. But because she's in a different tax bracket and she can afford nannies and private tutors, and she knows what she's bringing to the table, and she might have bought the damn table. Like at this, what do I really need
from you
for?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I feel like that's what it is, because she makes more than him. She's the bigger star than him. Mm-hmm. At this point, like, when people think of Offset and Cardi B, they say Cardi B and Offset. They don't say Offset and Cardi B no more. She's the one. She's the breadwinner in her. I think it's that she's the breadwinner in the relationship, and she realizes that this is something that I'm not going to deal with, because this is affecting my. Because people, I mean, yeah, Cardi B may be crazy, but in all honesty, it may be affecting her psyche or her mentally. Like the fact that you're like, I'm this beautiful woman, people want me, and then I got this man out here sleeping with all these other women, allegedly, or whatever is happening that kind of causes divorce.
I'm like this. You should have learned that stuff from Halle Berry, because Halle Berry was one of the most beautiful women in the world, and she was with Eric Benet and all those other men. They all cheated on her.
That is true.
Well, here's my thing. So, okay, now we bringing in this whole cheating thing. So, I mean, is it a matter of, because we don't know, we don't live with Cardi, we don't know what was going on between her and Offset. But is it, when you talk about, Mariah Carey, when you talk about Halle Berry, when you talk about all of these women, beautiful women, prominent women, right? Value, well-established women, right? And the man still cheats, then it's a matter of cheating. Like, you got all of this sitting in your face, and you still gonna go out and play around and do what you do. So do you have a conversation and it become like a Will and Jada situation, allegedly, like where you have this understanding, like, I'm not gonna be your end all be all?
See, that's where the dysfunctionality comes in for me, because the way how I look at marriage, It's due to my upbringing. Marriage is something that's sacred between two people. You know what I mean? You guys have committed to each other. You done all your plan. You done got all that stuff out the way. So it shouldn't be none of that foolishness going on. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be honest. I don't blame Cardi as far as with walking away from this situation, because number one, you're not going to be running around here embarrassing me like that. And then you're not going to have me out here looking a hot ass mess because you don't know how to keep your little thing in your pants. We got a problem. Somebody need to grow up around here. Yeah. I'm being straight up. And then he had the audacity to say that he wants to get custody of the kid.
Yeah.
Baby.
Baby. I don't know. I think it depends on how you define marriage. Marriage is
trying to get a check. Baby,
he gonna get a check, but I just feel like we have to just be. I think people have to define marriage for themselves, and I think that we have to be just really open about who we are and what our expectations are, and to create these healthy relationships.
I think the times have changed now, and it's just clearly what that is, because women used to be the backbone for the men, right? Now women out here making boss moves, women out here making things shake, right? So now we got to watch these men or other folk that have to try to, shall I say, try to eat off your back end of the table. Does that make sense? So that means, so now you want to try to get custody of the baby so you can get you a check. You see what I'm saying? See, that's a weak ass man to do some shit like that. Unless that this child's well-being is in complete danger, then yes, I get it. But you trying to collect another check because I don't want to be with your ass no more. See, that kind of stuff right there, that really burned me up for real.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I think this is a deeper conversation.
Right.
I think it's a conversation that deals with masculinity. I think it's the conversation that deals with femininity. I think it's a conversation that deals with gender roles and how do we actually approach those roles nowadays. Like, this is really a matter of identity. How are you forming that thing? What does it look like? What does marriage look like to you? Did you go in with a clear definition of marriage? Did you go in with a clear understanding of yourself and your role within this marriage? I think this is a whole, different thing. Somebody said, Nathan said, well, what is wrong with him asking for custody?
So can I answer that real quick? And then pass that one. I'm sorry, because this my little thing. Okay, so my deal is, what's wrong with him asking for custody? The thing that I feel that if you should ask for custody is if the child is in danger and she's not fit to be a mother, right? And you have direct proof to verify that. Do not use a child as a pawn because you want to try to collect the check because she don't want to be with your ass no more. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. See, I have seen this type of foolishness firsthand.
That happened with Britney Spears.
Yeah, and then look at this. But see, women, we used to do that to y'all all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like when I football players and everything else.
And now we need a baby with your ass and walk away.
Yeah. See, now stuff to change. So to me, it's like, you're a weak ass dude. You want to sit up here and want to try to take this girl kid, and you don't have no type of proof whatsoever to verify that she is unfit. You see? And you gonna turn around and get a check behind it. Man, kill yourself. I'm not with that.
Well, that's why I say we'll have to kind of wait, and I agree. We have to wait until everything, because the story just broke today, so we still don't know what's happening. They still haven't gone on to the what do they call it? The media they haven't gone on this media tour yet to talk about why they're getting divorced. That's even if they talk about it, but the media is always going to find out what happened through these court documents. So we still haven't seen none of this stuff. All we know is that she filed for divorce. We don't even know what the issue is. Yeah.
I want to know, how can he prove that she's being unfit? Because last I checked, I'm just saying, from the outside looking in, she can provide shelter, she can provide food, and she can provide clothes and make sure that child is well taken care of. So my thing is he unfit?
Well, speaking of unfit,
right.
Let's see Cardi and Offset where they are. until we can get more details.
Correct.
We just wanted to bring that to y'all because we know that was buzzing in the news, and of course we had to talk about it. But speaking of unfit brothers, what's his name?
Which one?
Jesus Christ, Jordan Peele.
Oh yeah.
A new thing called Lovecraft Country. Now, let me say this. I love Jordan Peele. When I say unfit, I think his mind works in a way that I have not seen in a very long time. And you have to really follow Jordan to kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, because seeing that other one, Us, I just didn't feel Us. I didn't feel. I didn't feel. I did not. I felt like I wasted my damn money. Now Get Out. Now that one right there, yeah. All day.
But I love Get Out and I loved Us. I think Us.
I didn't like,
especially the end part of Us. I loved.
And I'm like, twist. And shit.
But see, when
I felt like I was gonna get a Us or Get Out when I started watching Lovecraft Country, and I couldn't get past half the episode, y'all. I don't like it.
Really?
I don't.
You didn't like the first episode?
No.
I love the first episode. I loved, but if you get to the second and third episode, I love how they kind of correlate secret society. Well, I don't want to say that, but how they correlate the secret societies of the white people and how they kind of push to try to dominate the world through all of this stuff. It's so intricate when you just sit down and watch it. I had to watch the third episode twice because the first time I watched it, I was like, I'm not really feeling this. But that first and second episode, I loved that.
Okay, so for our viewers who have not watched Lovecraft Country, we have a video that we want to show you really quick, and then we'll be right back.
Yeah.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. It's back. Getting reacquainted with old friends. Uncle George, the reason I'm back home, my father is gone missing. 1, 2, 3. He wrote me. The place he wants me to go is in Lovecraft Country. 1, 2, 3. This place. 1, 2, 3. Is dangerous.
I thought the world was one way. And found out it isn't.
I haven't even gotten to the real strange part.
Yeah, listen.
Can I ask y'all? I've never seen it.
Okay.
Is it like some voodoo going on in here or what?
Is it like some what?
It's sci-fi.
Yeah, sci-fi.
Like, it's sci-fi. It's science fiction. Yeah. So it's not voodoo. It's just, so black people usually don't
skeleton quiche.
Yeah, I think it's more like it's for me, it's like trying to pay from the trailer and reading about it. It's like trying to pay homage to like Octavia Butler and these very underrated, underread black science fiction writers. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where Jordan is taking it. And I love that about it because I feel like black science fiction is something that we really don't talk about. But that first episode, I just couldn't. Maybe I had too much on my mind, and I just couldn't.
Yeah. I think I loved because what he did with each episode is he introduced something that happened in the real world, but in a like when he talked about the sundown towns. Mm-hmm. Sundown towns in the first episode, I thought that was great because so many people was like sundown towns, and it made so many people go and look up what this stuff means. So I mean, in essence, I feel like he's also educating like young black people that watch this because I had to remind people. I'm like, I'm from Miami. I be rushing to Miami Beach. Miami Beach was a sundown town prior to them allowing us to come onto the city. Like the only way you was getting on the South Beach is if you worked there, and after a certain time, you had to be behind off of the beach. Otherwise, you went to jail.
We still have downtowns in Texas, so yeah, we know about them. I mean, and I the whole Baldwin that was a part. I was like, I was really, because I was like, oh, that's Baldwin. I know that voice. You know what I mean? But maybe I just had too much on my mind. I will go back, Jordan, and I will give you all of my attention this weekend, brother, because I love your work. But as of right now, me and Lovecraft, we're not getting along.
I can tell you who I'm getting along with. I'm getting along with that Power, though. That's what I'm getting along with right now.
Oh, Power 2, Generation 2.
Book 2.
Yeah.
That one, yeah. I'm on that.
Well, I only saw the last episode of Power, and I'm definitely like, if I haven't had the I guess the process to actually watch the whole Power montage collection. So in part 2, I'm just like, I know I'm not going to watch it because it's just something. I'm like, it's just something that wouldn't interest me at all.
Oh well, baby, you would be. And Mary J. Blige and Method Man is doing an excellent job too. I love
Mary J. Blige and I love Method Man. Both of their acting is great. So maybe I'll watch it. But do I have to watch the first?
Well, it's kind of going already. I think you can kind of actually start from there.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll kind of give you like some background because see now it's a whole nother book. This is book 2.
Okay.
So I think you can start and watch it. So let me ask y'all this: what y'all know about the Black Queen and the public nuisance?
Do we have a video that we can show?
Yeah, let's see this video real quick, and then we can kind of talk about it.
Yeah.
Is there another bathroom? I'm sorry. I'm not doing this. Okay, excuse me. I need to get to my door. Don't push me. Go to the bathroom and sit down. You need to go to the bathroom. I need to get to my door. Ma'am, I need to get to the bathroom.
What? Go to the bathroom. What? The lady is getting aggressive with me.
You're not listening.
I'm not a child. I'm grown. I'm trying to use the bathroom. The lady is coming.
I need to get to my door, ma'am.
Now she needs to get to her door. Can I get to my bathroom? You are white privilege. You're not my boss. Sit down. Sit down. Oh, thank you. You're white privilege. Sit down. You don't have privilege over me.
Oh, I don't.
Thank you. You wake up. You got a mask on.
Yes, I do.
So you're under the government too. You're confined. And you don't have white privilege anymore. I'm a queen. California. She was from a black queen.
Okay, well, I need
you don't talk because you so privileged that you got to get to somebody else and tell them you're not listening. I don't have to listen to you.
Then go to the bathroom.
You don't run me. You go to the bathroom. You shut up and stay in your lane. Y'all teach hate in y'all house. Y'all narcissists. But you ain't gonna play that shit with me, yes. Because I'm not a slave. I never came from Africa. I'm an indigenous person to this country. You shut up. Let me tell you instead of what your mama taught you. Let me tell you the truth. I'm the queen in this motherfucker. You understand me? You came from my color. Black make every color. You mad because the promise is coming to my people and you think we stole the birthright? But it's, shut up, bitch. It's coming to us. It's coming to us. You understand me? You can't do nothing about it. That's why y'all so mad. But this whole corona shit is all about is that God is coming back for his people.
Okay. Wow, that was a lot.
God is coming back for his people. Listen.
Now,
go ahead, Dean. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm gonna let you start off because I'm befuddled right now. I'm like, oh, what the heck?
Okay, so I think that the sister was well within her right. The stewardess, the flight attendant, whatever you want to call it, touched her. Keep your hands to yourself. I think at this point in time, people need to learn that to respect other people's faces and physical bodies. Right. And, Black is not a sign or a signal for you to mistreat and mishandle. Right. I think the flight attendant was dead wrong. I think that the sister was well within her right to take it where she took it. I think that the politics of respectability come in here when you hear her speaking, she's not as articulate as one would expect or one would like or one would assume when she's having this kind of conversation. But I think she was very valid in calling out privilege in that space. And I thought it took a lot of ovaries to do what she did.
Well, I mean, I definitely understood. I think in the moment that the stewardess touched her, she did better than most people I know. Because that stewardess would have got a backhand slap to her face. I know if that was my mother, she would have got banged real quick. And she had every right to be upset. I would have been upset with the white woman too, who was sitting here telling me what to do. I think people need to realize it takes 2 seconds to mind your own business. I would have said a curse word, but mind your business. Mind the business that pays you. If it has nothing to do with you, stay out of it. Like, I don't think, and they get upset when we call them Karens and all this stuff, but I'm like, if y'all just mind y'all business, that had nothing to do with you. That was between that lady and the stewardess. You actually caused more drama by putting yourself into it, because you have no right, and you have no authority on this damn plane. You're not the sky marshal, you're not a stewardess, you're not the pilot. You're just some damn passenger that needs to stay in her lane.
I was just waiting for them to tase this lady. That's what I was waiting on. I was waiting on the air marshal or somebody to come in here to try to tase her.
They wouldn't, because they already got a lawsuit. Because if any lawyer has seen that, the moment that flight attendant touched her,
it's assault.
That's assault. So if you would have brought Sky Marshal to tase her, that's even worse, because you ain't tased the stewardess who was the aggressor in the situation.
Right.
But see, what I noticed also in that specific video is like they try to make it like she was the aggressor.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And she clearly was not the aggressor. She had every bit of opportunity and right to state how she feels on certain issues. But Miss Bethany that was over there sitting down right there, Bethany, that's not your business. Bethany, be quiet before you even got beat up, girl. Be quiet. That's not your business.
Right. And I also think that the people that were listening to Bethany, because she, said whatever she said, and then the other people started chiming in. No, be quiet. Like, she was absolutely dead ass right when she said this is privilege. Like, I don't have to deal. But what you want me to do?
But you know what? I think what her strategy was, and it didn't work, she was really trying to escalate the situation, by putting her 2 cents in to make it more violent.
Right.
And I think that was the strategy that she was trying to use. And clearly the strategy didn't work because the sister saw right through that. Like, really take. You know what I mean?
So,
but Bethany needs to mind her business.
Yeah.
And so I support you, Black Queen from California. No, I think you're still right.
A little bit much, but I get where you're going, sister.
Yeah,
I just say what you say and be done with it. You don't got to keep going on and on.
Yeah.
You got to go to the restroom, tell the helper off, tell her what you got to tell her, and go use the restroom. Don't keep arguing and getting in the pig pen with these folks, because that's what they want you to do. So they can get you arrested, so they can get you a record. All you have to do, say what you have to say, be firm, state your piece, and you done. Yeah. Now you to put your hand on me. Don't get mad when you're getting windmilled and get beat up.
Right. Now speaking of stating your piece and say what you got to say and be done. Brother Gillum is back in the spotlight. and
we're in the spotlight again.
Brother Gillum is back in the spotlight. Brother Gillum came out. I guess it's coming out.
Hey, I mean, I like that he actually did what he did. I'm glad that he actually was able to say what he said, and I was glad that his wife actually was there to back him up. I think a lot of the things that we kind of get, people should have taken away from it, is the whole ordeal of forgiveness, and that the wife seemed as if she forgave him, and if she already knew what was going on. Because I mean, I talked to people that went to FAMU with both of them, and it was like, well, they both kind of do the same thing. They both did the bisexual thing at one time, allegedly. This is what people told me that went to FAMU with them. Like I kind of disclosed to you guys yesterday. I know that's like a fourth cousin of mine. That's pretty much all I know about him, is that we're relatives, we're kin. But I mean, the situation just goes to show you, and I get upset with so many people in the Black LGBTQ community, like, oh, you know, he's messing around with these white guys. I'm like, so y'all not even mad that he's messing around with his wife with
right.
You know, he's cheating on his wife. Y'all just mad that it's a white person. So it's not the infidelity thing that y'all upset about. It's that he cheated on his wife with a white person. Not the infidelity, but the white person.
Well, I think that goes back to, to some of the conversation we was having about Offset and Cardi B, right? And so, it's if his wife understands and he understands and they have an understanding with each other, they've defined marriage for themselves. I personally don't believe that Andrew Gillum should have came out and said nothing about nothing. Not your business. What you see is what you get. What you don't see is none of your business.
Right.
Like I don't need him on an apology tour. Now, maybe he has something cooking and we don't know about it, and he needs to do this apology tour to, situate himself politically, but as far as what goes on in that man's bedroom and what his wife do and he do, that's not my business. And
I'm with you on that, sister.
Yeah.
I'm a big proprietor of what goes on in somebody else's relationship. What goes on in somebody else's bedroom is none of my business. It's not your business. It's not my business. However they define what they do in their bedroom, even if they're married, that's their business. It's not us. It's not us to be like, because too many times we kind of force our narrative on people, and it's no. And I tell people, I'm like, when you force your narrative on somebody, it's like when somebody forces their narrative on you and you don't like it.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's just because it's something that you're not used to seeing, especially in our Black community. We tend to try to define things in black and white, gay or straight. This or that, and it's like it's more to the world than that. The Eurocentric thought process that has been pushed down African Americans' throats for so long, it doesn't help us as a community. It divides us because so many people become divided by this one situation.
I agree. I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And speaking of this Eurocentric mentality, like again, is the relationship oppressive? Is it progressive? Is it something that's supporting the growth and development and evolution of the two people that are involved in it? Like, Andrew, if you like men, more power to you, brother. I support you. We would love to have you on the show. We would love to have, a conversation with you, because this would be a safe space for you. And when it comes to Black men exploring their sexuality, which is something we probably really need to talk about, we do not give them the space to do that, because as Black men, they have to show up a certain kind of way. And anything that is outside of that performance is then further dehumanized and degraded. And I just don't agree with it at all.
And the saddest thing is that all of that macho stuff comes from the Eurocentric thought process, because I'm like, when you go back into certain, it's like when I hear people talk about women and women should know their place and women should be here. I'm like, if you go into some of those old African nations, when you talk about those queens and those tribes that had women fighting, those women were fighting next to their husbands or fighting next to their brothers and sisters. There were the only thing that made them different was the thing that was between their legs, and that was it. As far as they walked steadfast together, they were, they were connected at the shoulder, not I'm here and you're here. I'm like, I know you don't. When I hear these, I call them, what do we call them? The Black people that's hoteps. When I hear these hoteps talk like that, I'm like, I really know you don't know much about your own culture. Because if you even go and read a little bit of your history, you will realize that the whole concept of women being down here is Eurocentric. Because when you even go back to Egypt, women and men, the pharaoh had to marry someone that was in the bloodline, a woman that was in the bloodline, in order for the bloodline to continue. So,
even in the God, when you're talking about the It's the undifferentiated one. It's male and female together. So
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. That's a whole
that's a whole topic.
that's a whole topic.
Who cares who you sleep with? Who gives a shit? How about that?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what we said. We just
Do
like
your thing,
do
baby.
your thing.
Do your thing.
But I don't got a hold of
Cheating
life.
on your wife. Now, if you cheating on her and it's infidelity, you doing something wrong, then you know that's no.
Yeah.
But if y'all gotta understand it, that's between that man and that woman.
And that woman.
That has nothing to do with his political career and his aspirations and what he's able to accomplish.
Well, since we talking about that, well, I'm just gonna say this next subject is our business.
Okay.
What in the hell is Donald Trump got going on with? You got the people in California mad at your ass. You got you're meeting with the Hispanic coalition. Then I mean, it's just a bit much. And then you over here with hysterectomy type. Do we got some beautiful bean footage for us to look at so we can dig into this shit? Because this is crazy. He added again.
I think
from our perspective, there is amazing partnership on the ground, and there needs to be. As the governor said, we've had temperatures explode this summer. You may have learned that we broke a world record in the Death Valley, 130 degrees. But even in greater LA, 120 plus degrees. And we're seeing this warming trend make our summers warmer, but also our winters warmer as well. So I think one area of mutual agreement and priority is vegetation management. But I think we want to work with you to really recognize the changing climate and what it means to our forests and actually work together with that science. That science is going to be key. Because if we ignore that science and sort of put our head in the sand and think it's all about vegetation management, we're not going to succeed together protecting Californians.
Okay, it'll start getting cooler. You just watch.
I wish science agreed with you.
Hey, well, I don't think science knows actually. Tom, please.
So, Mr. President, in that effort, funding that effort, we acknowledge our role and responsibility to do more in that space. But one thing is fundamental. 57% of the land in this state is federal forest land. 3% is California. So we really do need that support. We need that emphasis of engagement, and we are fully committed to working with you to advance that cause.
he sounds like a nigga from the dark ages.
He's like, it's gonna get colder.
Well,
and I don't, and science doesn't know what.
Yeah. People want to vote for this fool.
That is dangerous.
That is dangerous as hell.
This man is dangerous. Like, I cannot reiterate this.
It's felt leadership, people. It's felt leadership. And then let's not even talk about that audio. You know what I mean? Because that Bob Woodard's new book ain't nothing nice either. And then this audio with Trump. Do we have that with that audio? Do we have that? Because baby,
I don't think we have it. Production says we don't have it. Listen, I think that we have to make some real educated decisions. I think that if you have not seen the difference in fall last year and the year before, if you didn't realize, especially if you're up in in mountainous areas and you saw the bleaching and the blanching of the leaves and the trees and how dull the colors were, that's because of heat. If you haven't realized down in Texas that it's way hotter than it's ever been, if you haven't realized that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, we would actually have cool fronts by now. If you haven't realized and even the ice caps, the sea levels are rising, like climate change is real. We saw a difference though. Like when people started first going into quarantine and everybody was off the streets and pollution and all of the smog and all of those things started decreasing and animals started coming out. Like we're not paying attention to nature at all. Like we are playing with a ticking time bomb, and this dude does not care.
Well, and let's be honest and let's be clear. And I just saw this today. CNN was actually talking about it, and MSNBC. But two of the major ice glaciers or ice shelves that actually protects us from a rising sea level is starting to crack. And they said if it cracks within the next 2 years, the sea level will rise by 10 feet. That means that all of that stuff that is that's Florida, that's most of Texas, that's California.
That's all the shoreline.
Yeah,
that's all the shoreline.
that's the shorelines all over. That's the shoreline basically.
But you know what?
But we're not looking at what's going on right now with hurricane season.
Right.
We got 3 to 4 hurricanes in the sea at one time.
At their house pressing these buttons. Okay. And I'm just gonna be 100. That's how I feel. Somebody at their house is pressing these buttons. Okay, what we gonna do? We're gonna go on and cause a hurricane today. We're gonna get some fatalities. We need some population control. Boop. You know what I mean? Oh no, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do some forest fires today. Somebody go throw one of them fires out there. Boop. Somebody's pressing buttons here. Just like they did with Katrina. I really believe that somebody pressed that button for that to happen.
I think that is wrong.
That's my perception. That's what I believe.
Well, I think the best quote, and I always tell people to go back and watch what not Denzel Washington, not Wesley Snipes, Samuel L. Jackson said in Kingsman. And he said, and I teach my kids this all the time, Earth, just like our bodies, is a actual body.
It's a living thing.
It's a living thing. Human beings are cells or a part of that living thing. We are a virus on this earth. And what happened, just like our bodies, when we get a virus inside of our body, it starts to heat up and it tries to get rid of the virus. Mm-hmm. That's what's basically going on right now. The earth is kind of like, okay, I'm getting tired of y'all. Y'all ain't getting it right. So it's time for me to get rid of y'all. That's why you see all of this stuff happening with us. I mean, people talk about HARP and all of this other stuff, but I honestly feel like this is just like Earth is fighting back. Earth is, just like we always say, Earth is an actual body. Thank you for putting it up. So we got Vicky, Teddy, Renee, Paulette, Sally.
And baby, Sally ain't no punk.
Right.
Sally is tearing up. Is that Pensacola where she is?
She's moving slow. That's how slow Harvey was moving. That's why so much happened in Texas. These storms aren't moving as fast as they used to. They come and then they go.
Because somebody pressed the buttons.
So
that is what that is. I think it's something that's inside of the actual ocean that they have that triggers this. This is
government influenced.
Yes, this is my perception. And I've always said this. I'm like, okay, so now they want to press the button to create some more shit. And that's what's happening. That's my perception.
I think that's giving them way too much power.
Right.
Somebody doing something.
I think somebody is doing something. I think we're all doing it. I think that these things, I think that the pollution, I think that the trash, I think that the lack of recycling, I think that the lack of policy, I think that the lack of oversight when it comes to dumping waste and creating these landfills, I think that, not taking science seriously, saying that climate change and global warming is a hoax, I think that those are the things that we're doing. And I think that this fool at the helm, because now California in these 4 fires that they have right now are the worst
in the history.
Yep, somebody did that. Yeah. And I'm just gonna be straight up. Somebody did that, and it's always some bullshit that happens in the game during an election year. Period. It's something. It's always gonna be something happening. I
think stuff is always happening. I think politics intensifies what happens in election years, because I feel like if it wasn't an election year, California wouldn't be getting this much. I mean, we see fires every year in California. Mm-hmm. There's always been fires, but and to go back to the video, because it's disheartening to see that this president or this guy that's occupying the White House is saying that science doesn't know what it's talking about, when it's science that is the reason why we're in the state that we're in the technological state that we're in.
But
also to see that the governor of I applaud the governor of California, who has to bite his tongue and ask this retard for help, because again, like he said, 30 to 40% of California is federal land. That means that that's land that's owned by the government. That means that's land that Donald Trump needs to help with. So this man has to bite his tongue to make sure that his people, because they said 35 people have died in this fire already.
Yeah,
35.
Keep in mind, you dealing with the same person who was telling folks to get a Clorox needle and shoot yourself to get rid of the virus.
I think that's what Dean is saying. Like, if he's not the president, he's the person that occupies the office of the president. Right. There's nothing that this Negro that he's done
for me to call him a president. I'm not calling him that.
Let me ask you this. So what's y'all opinion with him meeting with the Hispanic Coalition? Now, these are the same people that you say that build a wall and keep their asses from coming here.
Well, let's be clear. I always tell people we have to be real mindful of the Hispanic culture because Hispanics come from different places.
Yes.
Like I tell people, Miami, because everybody talk about Florida Hispanics. Florida Hispanics are a completely different breed of Hispanics because unlike the Hispanics that's in the Southwest, these Hispanics came over here off of asylum. So that means that when they touched land, they became pretty much citizens. They got government assistance.
Dealing with Castro,
right? The Cuban community, does not have the same plights as the Hispanics that come from South America. I mean, from Central America and South America that come through the Rio Grande. These people are entitled, and most of them they can pass for white, or they have this whole mindset that Remember, most of them left Cuba because Castro had this thought process that all Cubans should live on the same playing field. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those white Cubans, or those Cubans that thought they were white, because 90% of the island got a black person in their family tree somewhere. The only difference is that some of them just got so white that they forgot, or they try to forget. So they didn't want to see themselves as the same.
Better than the other.
Right. The colorism. On top of that, a lot of Cubans, or white Cubans, think they're better than Dominican, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans. And if you ever talk to a Hispanic person, or you just put Hispanic people in the same room, they have so many. They have so many different mindsets. So that's why I'm like, he says he's meeting with the Hispanic Coalition in Florida. I'm pretty sure the Hispanic Coalition in Florida that he's meeting with is predominantly Cuban and Venezuelan, because those are the two demographics of people, or two demographics of Hispanics that vote Republican. Venezuelans, Brazilians, and Brazilians, you have to consider them Portuguese, and Cubans. Cubans have been voting Republican since the 2000 election, when Bill Clinton sent that little boy Elian Gonzalez back home. Mm-hmm. That's when they were mad about that. So they had already in their minds that they would never vote for another Democrat again. On top of that, there's so much hatred between the Cuban community and the black community in Florida that people don't even realize that. Like there's a rift between both communities. So
I think identity has us all effed up. Yeah. And because you're not looking at the lineage, you're not looking at the history, you're not looking at the commonalities, and the same colorism, the same colonial mindset.
You know what? I even see it with our chief of police and our sheriff. Our sheriff is Mexican, and our chief of police for HPD is Cuban, and you can see the difference. Like, he thinks he's better than our sheriff. Like, he's privileged more than someone from Mexico.
Well, I mean, that's the same. You know, we could go there even with black folks. Like, this group of black folks think that they're better than this group of black folks because they're from here. So it's like, you know, when we say Hispanic, like that's the overgeneralization of this group of people. Like, they're multidimensional, they're multicultural, just like black folks, we're multidimensional, we're multicultural. But there's something that I really want to say about Breonna Taylor. We have an update about Breonna Taylor. There has been in the news, there's a $12 million lawsuit, or a settlement that's supposed to be given to the family of Breonna Taylor. And I'm going to say this. First of all, Breonna Taylor's murderers are still free. Breonna Taylor has not gotten the attention that she should. The case has not gotten the attention that it should have received. Exactly. Breonna Taylor was not a dope girl. This whole defamation posthumous defamation of character. We need to stop it. Breonna Taylor was a life that was priceless, and to put this tag on her life, to this price tag to, you know, kind of shut her family up and to kind of make this thing go away is sickening, is very disgusting. And I just want to send as much love to Breonna Taylor's mom and everybody who's been affected by her death and her loss. I just want to send as much love and positive energy to all of those people. But we always try to throw money at a problem, and then we want it to quietly go away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in this case, hopefully that this isn't money to shut the family up, and I'm hoping that the family continues to push.
That's exactly what it is.
To push
for them to share.
Yeah. I hope they push for justice for their daughter, because I always tell people, money, the money is okay, but Breonna Taylor, just like Ahmaud Arbery, just like many of the other people that have passed, are part of this movement, and they have their names have pushed us as a people, and it's even pushed white people to see that there is an issue with policing in this country. And I'm hoping that we don't pivot away from this, and that we continue to push for police reform and justice reform as a whole. I honestly feel like that whole Justice Department needs to be sued. They need to be locked up, because the fact that you tried to get her boyfriend to say that she was a part of a drug ring is disgusting. The defamation of character within itself, they need to. I don't honestly see how the Black community there isn't like really busting down the door like, you need to go at this point.
But you know what's disgusting to me, and this is disgusting as far as dealing with ICE, where they're allegedly performing unwarranted hysterectomies on women.
I saw that too.
Disgusting as hell. Do we have something to show on that? Because that is horrible.
Okay, we don't. But it goes back to what happened to African American women.
Come on.
With those experiments, where a lot of our people became barren because of the experimentation. And you got to remember, African American women and men have been experimented on for
beginning,
since we got here. And that's why I was like, definitely should watch that Lovecraft episode 3, because it goes into talking about how these doctors got away with experimenting on African Americans, killing them, and still living healthy lives and going about their life as if nothing happened. Because this man
very quick, even with I had not that long had a baby like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they're quick to want to try to make you get your tubes tied and all this kind of stuff, which also can lead to female problems. You understand what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you trying to stop the reproduction process of the Black woman.
Well, this goes back to Margaret Sanger. This goes back to Planned Parenthood. This goes back to the experiments that were happening in Chicago. This is not new on Black and brown bodies. This is not new on poor women. This is not new on immigrants. This is a not new thing. This is not new. I was actually waiting for this to come out with ICE, like having these people in these concentration camps, and we don't really know what's going on with them. This is experimentation. This is the time that you can do whatever you want to do, because if these people disappear, who is going to know it? There is no tracking. So when they start losing babies, and you didn't know where these kids were going, I already knew that they were doing something underhanded, and I was just waiting for it to come out. But I think that this is a reproductive issue. This is a reproductive justice issue. I think that we really need to, if you have not read Killing the Black Body, you need to read Killing the Black Body. You need to read Medical Apartheid, because it goes into how the American Gynecological Association, how the American Gynecological Foundation was set, because you are experimenting on Black female genitalia. You are experimenting on Black reproductive organs, which is why you have this this impact now, or this response in the medical community, when Black women go into an office and say, hey, I'm in pain, and you don't believe her, and now the maternal death rate for Black women is rising and has exceeded the maternal death rate for other populations or demographics in the United States. Like, we have to—
You're absolutely right about that. You are absolutely right about that.
You know, and then you forcing these— I don't even know if it's even— you're coercing these women into having these hysterectomies. That's population control.
Well, they said that. They said
that is.
Well, basically, they were saying that they would go in and say, well, you have cancer in your vaginal area, and we have to do this surgery to get it out of you, and that's when the hysterectomies are going on, because they called the man's office, and the man was like, I have no comment. And now you have all these people that's like, oh, they're like, oh, you know, we didn't know anything about it. And it's like, how don't you know what's going on in these facilities?
Exactly.
But I'm like, that should have been that was an issue for me back when they were talking about like how these people were asking for their children to go back to Mexico. They was like, I'll take my child back to Mexico. And it was like, well, we can't find your child because they're in the system. So how do you take somebody's child and give them to somebody else in the adoption system? So where are these kids going? It almost reminds me of that Law and Order episode where we find out that the white people were going to Haiti, adopting these kids and then making them into maids.
Or it also reminds me of Jewish Holocaust, when these kids was going into these concentration camps and they didn't come out.
Right? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of these people that went into this, there's probably a lot of people that never showed back up. They probably did something to it.
It was a medical experimentation that was going on then. So if you go into the Holocaust Museum, which I really admonish you to go to the one in DC, you will see what savagery. You will see what violence, you will see what aggression, you will see what it looks like. If you go to the Holocaust Museum here in Houston, you will see what it looks like. And if you go to the Black Holocaust Museum, which is at the Shrine of the Black Madonna, if they're open, you will see what violent people look like. You'll see what criminals do.
So let me ask y'all this then. So let's take it to this next step, dealing with Bob Woodward. You know, how this was his first time calling President Trump unfit, you know what I mean, and then talking about Bloomberg donating to Biden. Do we have some kind of something on that? I think we may have something on that. We got some kind of audio.
We got some type of audio. Okay. All right. So, well, I mean, it's interesting. I'm glad Bob Woodward. I think what I think is happening is all of these people that usually don't speak out, all of these institutions that's speaking out against Trump, I think it's because they see another 4 years of this man, and this country will not be what this country is supposed to be. When you have the what is it, the ecological, one of the ecological societies speaking out about, and that's just what we were talking about earlier. Like all of the rollbacks that this man has pushed on just the climate change and on emissions fuel, that it's scary. That's why so many people are speaking up. I mean, for Bob Woodward to actually come out and say this stuff and drop all of this information is, I think it's unreal, but I think it's needed, and hopefully people are actually listening.
And the fact that Bob Woodward has never, he's covered all these presidents, and he's never called anybody unfit.
Right. I think that for me, that's the biggest thing.
Trump was the first one that he has called unfit.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's just beyond Trump, and it's the supporting of his behavior that has me worried. Right? You call this thing. It's a space where we have to call a thing a thing.
Right.
He's unfit. He is not presidential. He's not a leader. He is an instigator. He's an ish starter. All of these things. And now you have Bob Woodward. You see, but this is his work. Like this is his body of work.
That's all he does.
Speaks for him, and the fact that he's saying like this man should not be here. And now we also have Bloomberg, who is
giving out donating $100 million to
the same guy who was very instrumental with calling Nixon out.
No, well, Well, not only
same guy.
Yeah, not only that, but I think the whole ordeal, the whole fact that he didn't agree with a lot of presidents, yet he never disrespected them. Besides Nixon, and we know why that needed to happen. Right. That was a must happen. But the fact that he didn't even agree with every president and every decision they made, but he never put his hand on the scale of an election because he knew, let the people decide what's what. This man is showing you that this is a dangerous man, and if you allow him 4 more years, this is the same man that's talking about. I'm willing to, once I get 4 more years as a president, I'm willing to ask for 12.
Yes, and that's exactly what I was about to say.
That is dangerous, and I'm like, that's why I can't stand when the Cuban community talks about they support him. I'm like, this is dictatorship within itself. Our country within itself put term limits on the president for a reason. What happened with FDR, how he died in office, and how he was president for almost 12 years. That let Congress know that's too much power to give to one person. First of all, the president has too much power as president, and we already see that in the executive orders that he pushes, the people that he allows to come to the White House. This man has had Russian assets in the White House without the Department of Defense even knowing within his first year. We don't even talk about that as much as we should. You had Russian oligarchs in the White House, and the CIA and the FBI didn't know until they were there.
Well, I think we've been teetering on oligarchy for a while now, and I think that if we allow this man another term, I think you're absolutely right. Now we're dancing with dictatorship. We're dancing with fascism. Right. Like, people didn't say, "Oh, we didn't see Hitler coming." Yes, you did. You just felt like it would never get that bad. It would never go to those extremes. But it wasn't until people was being, pulled out of their houses and putting on trains and then moved into concentration camps. If you have not read Night by Elie Wiesel, you need to read it, because I feel like we are on the cusp of a great change in America. And if we don't catch it now, it's going to be too late.
My philosophy is always dictatorships comes from democracies. If you look at every dictatorship that's going on right now in the world, Russia, Cuba, Venezuela, places like that, they all started as democracies. And there was a person who rose to power
and shifted
it and kept power. This man is willing to keep. They're already talking about on the Republican side about his son or his daughter taking over after he leaves,
as if it is inherited.
Right. The presidency is an inherited
emotion.
It's not a monarchy.
His emotions is just completely unorthodox. You know what I mean? Like, he's very irrational, and he turns around and makes irrational statements. Then he turns around and he sounds stupid as hell when he makes any type of speech in general, period. This is a dangerous man. This man is very dangerous. And I really think that voters, you all need to really, really, really assess this, because when you put this man in here for another 4 years and then you see what has happened, don't come crying in.
And you better have your visas and passports ready. Visas and passports need to be on deck.
I have my passport and I got dual citizenship. So if it's shit, man, I'm gone. But I want y'all to know this, especially to African American people. You need to really look at the people that's behind Donald Trump, that's in Donald Trump's sphere, and look at their philosophies and how they see the world. Many of the people that's in his sphere, they don't see people of color as equal. So the moment this becomes, because he get 4 years, this is going to become a totalitarianism, an oligarchy, a dictatorship. Your black butts are going to be the first people, because right now we also see how he's trumpeting the language of the 1950s, 40s, and 60s, how he's telling his voters, go watch the polls. That was the same thing that those white people were doing during the civil rights movement in the South. They were going to the polls with guns and telling people, you can't come in here or we go shoot you dead. And half y'all ain't got no gun. And half y'all don't know how to use a gun.
So what about Bloomberg? So why is that such an issue with Bloomberg? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I don't have an issue with Bloomberg. I think Bloomberg putting $100 million into Florida is needed. And I think but Joe Biden needs to do, because I think that was the biggest issue with Hillary Clinton in 2016 with Wisconsin and Michigan, where she took it for granted, like, oh, I'm going to get this stuff because Donald Trump, it's bad for black people. Joe Biden is doing the same thing. Yes, Donald Trump may be bad for Hispanics, but not every Hispanic thinks that Donald Trump is bad for them. Many of these Hispanics are business owners. They own businesses, and many of them think, or they have this mindset that they're white because on their census thing, they put Hispanic white.
Yes, sir.
So they have a proximity to white, so they don't have the same issues. Joe Biden needs to be in Florida. Florida is a major state. He needs to be in Florida he should be pushing this whole dictatorship thing to those Floridian Cubans. Like he really needs to sit down and tell them, remember, because many of them are old enough to remember
where you came from.
Yeah, many of them remember how Castro came to power. Castro came to power by they overthrew Batista with the help of the American government. And they thought Batista was bad. And when Castro came in, Castro was 10 times worse. He also was big with the Soviet Union. Isn't that a parallel?
Parallel. If you ever want to see one.
Politically adjacent, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I think we just have to be conscious. I think Biden is going to have to ramp up his Biden is going to have to ramp up his efforts. Kamala is going to have to ramp up his efforts. The Democratic Party is going to have to show up and show out differently this time if they really want people to believe what they're selling. And if they want to halt this progress, and I don't know, maybe the Democratic Party will benefit from us moving into a totalitarian regime. I don't really know. I don't. It's too many hands behind the curtain. There's too many puppet masters right now.
Well, I just think they just y'all need to get out. You need to vote. Even if you have a criminal record, long as you're not on paper, y'all can vote. Get out and vote, y'all. And I'm going to go on and give us our quote for the night. And this fits pretty much what we were discussing just now. It says, when our emotions are engaged, we often have trouble seeing things as they are. Robert Greene, The Art of Seduction. I'm going to go one more time so they can sink in. When our emotions are engaged, we often have trouble seeing things as they are. Robert Greene, The Art of Seduction. So we would definitely see you guys on Thursday for the interview that we're going to have. And then, of course, you need to make sure that you share, like.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, do it all. But we thank you guys for tuning in with us tonight. And we look forward to seeing you guys on Thursday.
This was fun. I love y'all. I'll see y'all again soon.
Have a good one, guys.
Have a good one, y'all.
And that little girl was me.